Hello everybody, welcome to Tropico for Modern Times. We're going to take a look at this game. This is in my opinion the best city game available today, and I've brought nearly every city game available since for the last 20 years. Every good game that's come out has always had an angle. SimCity, the original one, had Godzilla. SimCity 2000 had archaeologies. Caesar 3, that had an authentic Roman feel. And the Anno series have got like islands and combats and stuff going on. That's quite interesting. And this, the Tropico ones, has El Presidente, the revolutionary which takes over an island, a bit like a Cuba. Now this game here is the best one, the best Tropical game so far, but it's losing its roots a little bit, and I'll explain why. Here's the timeline. Now this is a cool feature, it allows you to see what's coming. But you go from a revolutionary island to modern times a bit too quickly. You don't really get a chance to feel like the island is a Cuban type revolutionary island before things start changing. And I think that's a shame really, because if you go from a poor island to suddenly a mega rich island, then it starts feeling more like a Caribbean or an island like Cuba or whatever else. Whereas if it just dashes through, it doesn't. But besides that, it's still a good game. Now, this game here is actually, well, it's not an add-on. It's like a patch, an upgrade to Tropico 4. So you won't see it as a separate icon to launch from Steam or wherever. It'll just be Tropico 4's normal icon. This means all the DLC still work. For instance, you got the plantations just down here, which to me seem to be a bit like a gigantic money making farm, which makes you loads of money in a game where you don't need loads of money, because by default you earn bucket loads, like you see down here. I've got like over 1 million there. I mean, this is set at 127% as well. I've got all the difficulties set down in order so I don't make tons of money, and I'm still making tons of money. So I'm glad to knock the difficulty, even further up, so I can actually get a bit of a challenge in the early game. Now, if you look around, you'll see lots of new buildings, but before I do that, let me just explain something to you. In this particular game, you can either be a fascist dictator and have your loyalists going around being thugs to everybody else and assassinating people you don't like, and generally being a right Gaddafi on them in like pre-revolutionary Libya. Or you can do like I've done and turn it into a capitalist tourist resort, which means you make loads and loads of money. Either's fine, you can do just as well either way. It depends how you want to play it. No city game gives you that choice. This is because of the El Presidente angle, and this does it with a certain style as well, because there's humour in this game you just don't get in any other city game. This has got, so this will keep you giggling for hours, I promise. Now I can't remember if the cement thing was the DLC or not, but it speeds up building time, so you really want that. Also, many of these bits here you see around there, like that bunker, that's one DLC, and these little bits around the edge, if we go over here I'll show you more. Like these bits here, the side of the army base, they're another part of the DLC, some examples. So you can actually make the army bases look more authentic. Something else that you get in the same DLC is this. There, because they do work with modern times, it's actually worth getting it, because it does make a bit of a difference to the game in the end. In fact, there's a bit more down here you can see. That there in the flagpole is also part of the DLC. So the DLCs work alongside the expansion and the original game. Now, the other thing to notice is, if we look at housing for example, the apartment blocks are the modern versions there, because they change and upgrade later on in the game. If we were to go over here, the farms also upgrade later on in the game, and they change as well. If we look at this for instance, there's 3 different types of crops there. If we click on that, you've got food crops, cash crops and corn. That's set to food crops, right? So they're all food crops there, which means we don't need free farms to produce free crops. We get one modern bio farm produces all 3 for us. Once you get them, you need less space for farms, and you can literally run an entire city on just these. We've also got the same for you know, cattle. This is the organic ranch. Now I put some of these down here. You see these little bunkhouses next to them. Just get rid of some of these shacks early on, but obviously the population's bigger now, so they're back.
It's made from stuff that even animals won't eat.
No cereal can be organic enough. The Presidente brand doing okay then?
Sure, Presidente's so popular, everything with his name sells.
Yeah, he actually says when you build the first bio farm, right, that the woman's Sunny, she's saying like, oh, everything, nothing can be organic enough. Right, and he's saying, oh, it's making me feel sick, help me please. Anyway, this island is done like a tourist trap basically, so I've done this in a more capitalist style. I could have done it as a Gaddafi type of thing, you know, with lots of troops everywhere if I wanted to. Now if I did, I'd have more of these about, but once you get to certain parts, certain stages, like I said, the buildings upgrade. That doesn't mean you have to replace them. Some of the buildings you can leave, but remember, just like Rome, you know, has its ruins, you wouldn't be able to build new ruins once they're past their sell-by date and gone into history. You can't build them anymore. So these things you can't replaceable now. You can't build them again, which is why when that one there got knocked down by an earthquake, I had to put something else in its place. But if you're building a town, remember most towns have buildings going back centuries in them, or cities. They don't knock down everything and replace it with something new instantly the moment it becomes available. So when you're designing your town, it's worthwhile keeping some of these buildings, old buildings, you know, back and leaving them there, because it makes the place look a little bit authentic and feel more like a proper town or city. As you can see, I mean, this here is the old condominiums, and this is the new ones. Personally, I like the old ones because they look like a right eyesore. I mean, I don't know if you like them or not, but I hate them. These aren't so bad. They could have been done better again though. But they're the apartment blocks. This is what they look like when they upgraded. The actual theatre's back down here. That's not so bad. That's what you get now instead of the old one. It's not an upgrade that you get halfway through the game. That's what you get at the beginning of the game. You got various factories as well, chemical plants and whatever else. If you look down the base here, they're all detailed, right? Also, another thing I like about this game, some of these factories, like the cannery, if I can find it, this thing here, has got allowed imports. So if I want to turn it off, I'll click on forbid imports, but it's allow imports because I wasn't producing the stuff it needed to make a profit. But if you notice, I'm making a lot of money off of that, and the reason why that's happening is because I'm importing the goods over here first. I can allow it to 15,000 worth of imports. It's producing stuff as cans and then exporting it back as a profit, so you can make money off that. If you turn the difficulty up so it's harder to make money, you can use that system there to generate cash to build your city and still keep the game a challenge.
2 foreign tourists have been abducted and are being held.
Anyhow, it says it's one of the many variations on the game you can have. You know, you build lots of factories, have import-exporting stuff to make money, etc, etc, etc. You do a fascist dictator system or a capitalist tourist resort or whatever else. Lots of different options here. If you actually look at some of the buildings, like this new building here, this hotel which appears at a certain point in the game, you make loads of money off of that. Also, the tourist industry doesn't seem to be capped anymore like it used to. You can use edicts and other things to boost your tourist rating and build things to boost your tourist rating, which means you get more tourists arriving, so the income isn't going to just say, right, that's all you can attract. It's going to keep going until suddenly you're no longer attracting, you no longer got the rating to attract more. So it works quite well. I mean, some of these things aren't really getting many in, but it depends on what time of year. Their spring break obviously don't come during the summer. And here all tourists, you see, so you can rig it up. These one thing I would say though, these casinos never seem to make any money. That one just got knocked down, but I've never known them make any money at all on this one here. The Cosmic Pin tends to lose money as well. But this here, the marinas, that's a VIP thing for rich people. That makes money. You've got ones for slobs as well. There's the new aerodrome there. You get jumbo jets landing there now, by the way, instead of just these small planes. There's one there, look. As you can see, flying by. Also, with the power you get, you know, the windmill type things, like if I can find one. I kept some of them when they became obsolete. These things here replaced by these. You can upgrade them, increase the power wattage that they dish out. Solar power plants do an awful lot. Like that supplies 400. You get 100 to start off with, and then another 100 for every upgrade you do.
Comrade, it is evident that all trouble in the...
Right, anyhow, if you actually look down here as well, the oil never runs out now, it doesn't seem to. That's been there for a long time in the game, where in previous games that seemed to run out really quickly. Seems to be more realistic. Whereas the mines, they do run out quite quickly. If I actually... that's not there, it'd be resources. Do that, you'll find I've only got one over here. There it is, right there. Now I set this as a random game, so it's all randomly generated. You know, I got a couple of boreholes and that's about it. But it makes it more interesting when your things randomly generated and you've got to try and fit things on into the island. So sometimes you just click on random and then just go for it. Don't pick an island. Now if you set the game up right, it can be really easy. Like I said, you get lots of money coming in on the default settings, so if you first played it through, just leave it at defaults. But if you want a challenge, you knock the difficulty up by reducing the amount of income you get as bonuses from various jobs or various things like foreign aid, and that makes the game harder. It also makes it a lot more interesting. Now if we look here, this is a new palace, look. You get this after a certain point in the game. It gets to be upgrade your old palace. You've got to do a certain few things first. Over here you've got the space program. It asks you if you want to make a super troop, a super soldier, or search for ETs basically, and then asked me to build these. On another game I played, it said they'd found intelligent life and accidentally played one of the president's speeches and bored the aliens until they were begging for mercy, and they realised they could conquer the universe using the president's speeches as a weapon of mass destruction. But yeah, there's lots of fun in this game. Another thing I remember is some people went on strike. So that Palermo, what's his name guy, turned up and says, I think we should go and strike them back. It's just funny. Like here, fire station in cat in tree mode. This game is basically it's got a lot going for it anyway, but the humour just makes it priceless. It's one of the reasons why it is currently the best city game you can buy. And the performance, I mean, I'm recording now. I've got a massive city and I'm recording, so that's going to drop my frame rates down quite a bit. But you can see it's still running smoothly. It's not jerking or anything. This is because it's been well designed. It doesn't. I mean, these buildings in the background there have already been reduced in detail. If I go forward, you see it. You see it's that get better, but it doesn't pop into existence. The engine's really quite good, so it should perform quite well on most systems. Where city games are notorious for grinding your system or being so lame and stripped down that there's nothing to them. Now, I have actually a big fan of city games, and I've got Cities in Motion, I've got Cities XL. I've got all the city games that have been out the last 20 years.
Presidente, the recent rock concert organized by your Minister of Foreign Affairs was a smashing success.
Yeah, I've had all the city games that have come out over the last few years, and some of them are just planting buildings down for no reason, and there's nothing to it. There's no spark there. But this here has a whole bonfire to enjoy. There's not such a spark as a right flamer. You know, loads and loads of stuff to make you laugh and cry and enjoy. I actually like Tropico simply because there's so many ways you can build a city, either as a dictator or as a capitalist type person, and then so many skills, and then you got people who are trying to assassinate you and rebels attacking and various powers, like America trying to implement a freedom tax and stuff like that. So it's just priceless stuff. And I'm going to leave it there, right? It's really good. I'm going to take you down the streets, I think, in a little while so you can see the detail, and then we'll call it a day. But it's a really good game. I mean, I made a video for Tropico 3, which should still be online somewhere on YouTube, and you can see the differences in it if you look at that as well. The one thing I would suggest, though, you know, when you're actually designing cities, see this here, it's all square. Doesn't look very interesting, does it? But if we go down here where I had to squeeze the city into a bit of a crevice, it's not square at all, and it's a lot more interesting as a result, especially with the older buildings next to the newer buildings. So when you're building your city, don't just slap it down in a grid like that. That is boring. Think of it, just make a few bendy roads just because you can, and try and fit your city in around that. And by the time you get your city developed, it'll look 10 times better. What's this? We're going to see something take off. There we go. Space program. As you can hear, the sound clicks in when you get closer to the background as well. Now if we actually just do what I said I was going to do, we'll just go along here. You can see there's actually quite a lot of detail, even amongst the NPCs. But there again, that's a hallmark these days of city games. They all have these kind of detail. The best game for detail is actually Cities XL, but it doesn't have anywhere near the charm that this game has got, or the charm that the Anno games have got. Whereas this game just oozes it. By the way, I had one of the priests, you know, when I built this pub here, say wants everybody to go to worship at the new church. And the woman pops up, Sonny, says, it's a pub, not a church. We've got to be progressive in modern times. Which I thought was quite funny. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave you with a view of the island. This is the modern times island here, right? You can see it's a vastly different kettle of fish from the original Tropico, which would have looked something like that. So there's been a massive difference in the game, you know, the way it looks anyway, and a lot of different ways to play it now that makes it more unique. You're not just building one city after another that works the same way. You've got all kinds of politics coming in. Anyhow, we'll leave it there. Hope you've enjoyed this look at this really cool game. It's only about £15 brand new, on top of the £40, well no, £30 for the Tropico 4. That means you're paying like £45 for both, plus the DLC, say 50. So if you get 50 hours out of this, you're doing well. You've earned your money back.
To abduct a